Davide, welcome to this podcast. We made it.
We sure did.
Thank you so much for your patience. I had technical problems and you were really patient with me. This says a lot about you already. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate your patience and thank you for saying yes to come to this podcast where we
Absolutely.
talk about adversities and how we overcome those adversities.
Just like
And
what we did right now. We had
exactly,
adversity and we overcome and we stay, we have a smile and we just move forward, right?
you're a great guy. I appreciate your time. I appreciate
Mhm.
you. Now, to kick off this podcast, one thing is for sure about you: your determination to make others stand out unforgettably. And I would like to really bring out a quote that I think really speaks to me concerning the fear of public speaking, which says, to escape fear, you have to go through it, not around it. You are on a mission to making people unforgettable in public speaking. That's a huge mission. How did you come about this?
Yeah, it really is a huge mission. It's so funny. So I started as a music director when I was younger, and so I'm a student of the theater, you could say, and music. And so ever since I can remember, I worked with people to perform better. And I remember as a kid, whenever I would go to the theater and see shows when I was in school, I would sit in the audience and I would think, wow, I could do that and I could help them be even better. It's always been in me. It's been really interesting. And so I became very successful in music and theater, and I ran my own successful theater production company for a long time. And so, in theater and music, you're working one-on-one with people with the performance aspect, with translating. I always say I helped people to translate lyrics and took lyrics, which are very abstract in music, and
Yeah,
bring those to life so that people would give a standing ovation at the end of the day. And we're very, process driven in music and results driven. It's always about the end product. In theater, if the show isn't popular, it closes.
yes.
So we're always looking for success. So at the same time, while I was running a theater company and doing all sorts of amazing, fun projects, I also became a teacher. So I taught high school music and performing arts for nearly 10 years. And that, again, was an arena where I had to figure out how to get the best out of students, out of young people, teenagers, no less.
I
And at the
see.
same time, while I was doing that, I also opened a yoga studio because I
Oh,
seem to have time in my schedule. So what I say now is that, the journey of music, theater, education, and yoga, we'll call that the transformation world. I put that all together. And when I made some changes in my life recently and I immigrated from Canada to the United States, and I started going to events here, and I noticed that there's a lot of entrepreneurs and business people, very successful business people who are speaking now on stages. And I would go to these events and see them, and I thought, wow, they're not. Some of them are not that great on stage. And I thought, how could that possibly be? These are very successful people who created all sorts of success in all different areas of their life. And so I've made it my mission, it's almost become my obsession now, is to help people who have something to share with the world, who've created success in their business, success in some area of their life, but they just don't necessarily know how to deliver it from the stage. And or they think that they're okay, but like I always use this analogy. Why, for example, in sports are there coaches? Why in the theater are there producers and directors? In TV, in film, there are directors. In the music industry, there's producers. These are very talented people already,
that's
and
true.
still they have someone behind them. Behind every star, there is someone else who helps them to rise up. And so it's really my mission to become that person, that man behind the curtain for successful entrepreneurs and speakers who want to really share their message with the world in a very impactful way and absolutely become unforgettable. Not because it's about them, but because their message is so strong and they're so committed to that vision and the mission that they have, so that they can make the impact that they deserve to make on the world.
Oh, thank God. I'm so delighted to have met you. I think I heard you speaking in another podcast, and I'm like, oh, I need him. I need him.
Thank you.
But, I mean, you speak with so much joy and so much, energy. But your job is closely linked to one of the most uncontrollable aspect of the human life, the aspect of fear. So how do you move someone from this fearful state to become this super speaker who is unforgettable? How do you manage that?
It's so funny because it does come up now and then. People have these fears, and sometimes people have fears that they don't even recognize. And because I work with some very successful people who they've spoken a lot already, but there's still something that holds them back from really becoming the speaker that they really want to be. There's a few ways I can answer this question. One of them is when you start to work with me, fear is a non-issue. Like, we don't even talk about it because the way I say it.
I agree. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this podcast, you don't know what happened behind the scenes, okay? And he was just cool, like, okay, take your time. And I said 5 minutes, he said, I'll give you 6.
Yeah, right. Exactly, because why fear is the made up. Fear is made up. And the beauty about it is that it's made up. We made it up. So if we made that up, why can't we make something else up instead that isn't about fear? I always joke about the Disney Corporation. They've built an entire multi-billion-dollar enterprise on wishes and dreams, which is so intangible. So what if we took our fear and instead turned fear, what I call fear, is opportunity?
Yes.
What if we were so committed to our mission, our vision, and our purpose that there is no fear anymore? And so this is what I find with speakers especially. When speakers are not fully in alignment with what they believe, they think they're speaking about what they believe, but because it's not exactly from their heart, they're afraid of forgetting things. They have to remember the flow. They have to remember the order or the way they tell the story, or they beat themselves up about how it goes, or they think they know it's going to be great. Then fear starts to creep in, oh, I'm not getting booked enough. And they get fearful of well, maybe I'm not that good or whatever it is, right? Yes. So people talk about the wrong things. They write talks I want to be very intentional about how I say this. They write their talks about what they want to say, and it's not from their heart because they don't really know, because they're not speaking about it.
So what you're trying to say, if your speech is about something so natural, deep inside, there is no reason for fear.
Exactly. Because this is what I say to people. Look, at the end of the day, we've been speaking our whole life. So, right? Exactly. And your reaction is perfect, because I say that to speakers who come to me who have a bit of fear. I say, look, you've been speaking your whole life. Why are you now putting this label of public speaking on it all of a sudden? That makes it scarier. You're still speaking. So I ask them first, what do you want the world to know that you want them to really know? And then they start to get fired up. And when they get fired up about something, then I know that we're onto something. And so what I do to help people, basically what I call it is their speaking brand. And really it is the same. If you have a business, you have a brand, your speaking brand has to mirror the business brand. And if you're speaking on brand, it's easy because you're passionate about it. It's the thing that you could talk about forever. And I'm not talking about what you think people want to hear. I'm talking about what you truly believe in your heart.
Okay, I see your point.
The stuff that makes you angry even.
Exactly. It comes from a more profound place, just rather than just being a coach or a speaker. It's something more profound.
Right. And if you don't believe in it so deeply that it dissolves the fear, then you don't believe, we're not talking about the right thing. You need to get passionate about something. My favorite question to ask people is this one. It's very simple. I ask them, what do you love? And at first, the answers I get are, oh, I love this and I love that. And there's no reaction in their body. And then I say, no, but like, let's go deeper. What do you really love? What tickles you? You know what I mean? What
Yes.
makes you light up? And then
Yes.
they're like, oh, I love cats, or I love dogs. I love ice cream. I love the summer, you know, and you get this sparkle in their eye.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden there's no space for fear, because passion, right, it takes up the space of that.
I agree with all of that, but I must confess my own my own worries about speaking. In fact, there is a hidden agenda behind this live stream, because I need you. I would like to be a speaker. So I'm glad to be with you here today. And it's some kind of feeling, you know, then your hands are sweating, your feet, you're nervous. Even if I'm passionate about that, there is all these emotions that has to be controlled. Will people, because I have this, personally, I have this harsh way of saying things, and it may really come out like abrupt, or people saying, how dare you say that? How can you say such a thing? So I try to put myself in a kind of middle world, not to go too far or just to say it. And the reactions are very often negative because it's too harsh. And how can somebody like me, you know, remember the last time I spoke with you, I gave you all the excuses. I spoke about my accent, you know, and you just gave it to me and said, I can perfectly understand you. There was nothing wrong with your accent. So how can somebody like me become, I know I have messages deep down which are emotional that I want to say, just say it out there and change lives. But certain things are not meant for the entire world to know. How are you going to train someone like me?
So, okay, there's a lot in that. Thank you for sharing so openly and vulnerably. I love it. So, look, here's the thing. You talk about the sweaty palms and the feeling in your chest maybe, or how your feet, all of that stuff, right? So why does that have to be a bad thing? Instead, what I say is, how about we acknowledge those things as sensations? So instead, you become like a scientist, almost an observer of yourself. You're like, oh, when I'm about to speak, my palms sweat. Isn't that interesting? And there's no bad, there's no good. It's just like, oh, my body is doing something, right? What if it wasn't fear? What if it's adrenaline? What if it's excitement? What if it's that moment right before, you know, for the people who skydive or do these things that are adrenaline filled or whatever, that you're about to do something amazing and break through something amazing? What if, for example, fear in quotations, is that thing that just tries to pull you back before you're about to do something so amazing that lights up the world?
Okay, I needed to hear this one.
Right. So in yoga, when I taught yoga, I learned this from my teacher. She was amazing. She, you know, when we would do these inversions going on her head or poses that you could fall out of, she said, you know, well, what if you fall? Sure, maybe. Okay. And what about this? What if you fly? What happens if you fly?
But at that moment, we're not thinking of flying. We're thinking of, you know, I'm going to break my knees. These knees are going to break. For real.
Right. And so the beauty is this, though. It's just awareness. And as soon as you say, what if I break my knees? You say, well, what if I like stand on my head and it's amazing and I feel great? What if? You know, there's always the awareness starts to dissolve the fear. So what I say about fear is like, we have to learn how to have dialogue with it and awareness. So acknowledge fear. And you say, fear, thank you for keeping me safe. Thank you for supporting me all these years and like keeping me safe in where I am. And now I no longer need you. Like literally have this conversation with fear with yourself out loud. It's okay if people laugh. You're dealing with fear, right? Because I'm ready to step into a new era where I'm ready to control my sensations and unleash my true passion to the world. And then you can, as I mentioned, embrace fear as opportunity. So fear, when you come back and I start to feel my palms sweat, I'm going to say that's going to make me dynamic and it's going to remind me that it matters to me. It's going to give me goosebumps when I speak. It's going to make sure that the stakes are high enough when I stand in front of people. It's a reminder that people are waiting for me to show up. And it's going to give me the fire that is going to allow me to step into my unforgettable zone.
Oh, this is so amazing. I love it. I just love it. So this conversation I have with fear. And what I do is to invite the fear, and it's my company. I tell myself, come sit down close to me, come keep me company. Now you are taking me one step further, saying, I acknowledge you, and you are just a simple proof that what I'm about to do is something more important than what I'm feeling right now in my body. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Yes. And when you can have that conversation, like we said so beautifully, you just acknowledge it. Thank you, fear, for keeping me accountable to myself and accountable to the people that I'm about to speak to. Because I always say to performers in the performance world, if you have no fear, if you feel nothing, something's not working. Because then it's just like, it's the laundry list. You know what I mean? We're doing laundry, and laundry isn't going to make you unforgettable. The grocery list isn't going to be memorable to people. Reading the phone book isn't going to make an impact on the world. There has to be some of that anxiety and fear because it's accountability. It's the reminder that you have greatness inside of you and that you want to show up for these people. It's a good thing. You should invite it and celebrate it.
Thank you. So how long does it take someone like me, or maybe someone better than I am, or we're all different. So how long does it take for you to really get someone be unforgettable? I understand it takes time, and it may take a couple of months, depending on where we all are in our journey with fear and how we can, bring out that message. What is the minimum time you would need?
So here's the thing. It's part of my tagline. One of the taglines in my business is, you're ready to be unforgettable. You're ready now.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. We love live viewers. So it's a choice. If you want to be ready now, then you're ready. So here's the thing. As I said before, you're already a good speaker. You do it all day long. Now the difference is you have to choose to be intentional.
Yes.
Choose to participate in the process rather than being paralyzed by fear. And you have to choose it and choose to work with someone like me to work on the craft. I always, to come back to the example, look, whether you like him or not was besides the point, but Michael Jackson was an amazing performer. He also had people like Quincy Jones behind him who was also amazing to help him be even more amazing. So who do we think we are as speakers when we think, oh, I could do it myself? But what if you have someone like me in your corner who is solely focused on your success, solely focused on your message and your vision and your passion and getting that out to the world? How much better and how much faster will you accelerate on the path? So for the most part, there's different ways that I work with people. It's hard to say that there's going to be a specific time because it really is an ongoing process. But the easiest answer for me to give you is it's a choice. When you decide that you want to be an unforgettable speaker, it's strange what happens, but you start to become unforgettable because you unlock your true message because you've said it to the world. You're like, well, now I'm going to be unforgettable. You start to say things that land with people in a different way because now the stakes are higher for you. You raise your own game when you say, well, I'm doing it. I'm not learning. I'm doing it. Because every chance that you have to speak to people is an opportunity to either impact them a little bit or a lot. Do you want to impact them a little, or do you want to really get the message through?
Yeah, right. Before I ask you the next question, I just have a little message for you.
Yeah.
Now I've decided to be unforgettable.
Yes, Lillian, you are ready, right? It's a choice.
But my hands are sweating.
Good.
I can feel the heat.
Right? But that's not a bad thing. That's your body saying, oh, wow, okay, all right. It's just, that's air conditioning, sweating, right? For the body, from a physiological standpoint, your body is air conditioning itself, and that's a good thing. So, you just go with it.
Okay, if I survive this. Now to the next question. What really led you, and do you really have this feeling of fulfillment when you lead people to this unforgettable journey? Because it's a load, being unforgettable, you have to keep up to the level. Are you fulfilled when you become the coach of Lillian Molle and she's unforgettable? Will you be fulfilled? Are you fulfilled so far?
Yeah, so it's so interesting because you identify something that's very important. Sometimes people get the misunderstanding of what I do in that they think I'm doing it. So working with you, for example, makes me fulfilled, but it's not about that. So what makes me fulfilled is doing the work,
Okay.
period, right?
Okay.
So for me, what it is that there were people in my life when I was younger who created amazing experiences, who gave me amazing opportunities. And it was through those experiences that I was led down this path. And so now I'm in abundance and paying it forward mode. And there is nothing more in the world that I would do than, and like I said, when I look back at my whole life, I realize I've been doing the same thing the whole time, working with performers and musicians and in the theater and in school system and as a yoga instructor and studio owner. It's always been the same thing, is that I help people to create personal experiences that then radiate out into the world. So the part that's about me is that I need to do this. So when I do it, I'm already fulfilled before you even get any results.
Yes.
Because I'm living my mission and my passion already. Yes. So I am so thrilled to be at this point in my life where I've made the choice to only do this. This is what I want to do, is I help people create unforgettable experiences, whether that be through speaking or through creating retreats or workshops or things, whatever it is, it's whatever an experience is, I want to help you get that experience out to the world. And I'm living my dream life right now. Absolutely.
Oh, I love it. I'm happy to hear people say I'm fulfilled, because that's what it is. That's the quest of every human being, to be fulfilled, either financially, emotionally, or whatever. But
right.
To have you here with this light and telling the world you're fulfilled, I'm so happy to really have you on this podcast, because it brings much joy to my soul and maybe to others out there to know that you too can be fulfilled no matter what. Despite adversities, or you can be fulfilled.
Well, and I want to remind the world of one thing too, in your audience and my audience, everyone who sees this, is like, Dr. Wayne Dyer has this whole theory about this, and it really landed with me when I heard it. We are created out of abundance. I mean, we are a miracle. And so why then, when we arrive at the moment of birth, does anything have to change?
Yes.
We are created out of fulfillment. We are created out of joy and a miracle. So we already, the blueprint is that we are fulfilled. Whatever you believe in, if it's God, if it's the universe, if it's whatever, that source is fulfillment personified. Yeah. And so then why are we working so hard to be fulfilled? We already are, when we choose it and we surrender to it and allow it just to flow freely.
I agree, but is it a state of mind or it's a reality? Is it because things happen, life happens.
Yeah.
Journey, and those things happen. Is it a state of mind that got you to this fulfillment, this sense of, happiness and abundance, that you keep reminding yourself each day where you came from and how abundant you are?
Yeah, I think so. And sure, life happens. Lots of bad things happen. My house was hit by lightning and burnt to the ground.
Oh, okay.
That's a bad thing. But I remember making the choice, standing in front of my house, completely burnt down. Everything was lost. I was lucky to get out with my dog. Yeah. And I thought, okay, I have a choice. I can choose to end everything now, and I really had those thoughts. I thought, well, what's the point anymore? Or I can move forward. And I remember very clearly looking at myself, and I'm like, okay, well, there's no holes in my body. I'm okay. I'm not bleeding. I'm okay. And, we'll just move on to the next chapter. And what can I learn from this? And what can I celebrate? So I celebrated that I had my dog and that I had my life. And I had friends to stay with that night, and I was going to figure it out. I had insurance, I was trying to find all the positives, Same thing with speakers. Why focus on the fear? Why don't you focus on, imagine the amazing message that is going to land on so many people's hearts. Imagine the movement that I will create, the people that I will inspire, the message that I will get out there. It's a choice to intentionally celebrate what you want more of in your life. What do you love? It goes back to that question I ask people. What do you love and what do you want more of in life? Focus on that and it'll create more of it.
Great. I love that. You've already shared some of the lessons learned, I suppose. That's really amazing. But what about people who want to be speakers but have multiple businesses? How do you find that true insight to support all these multiple businesses if you want to speak? Should you choose just one business to be a speaker on that platform? Or?
So this is a very interesting point. So one of the things that I talk to people about is your one thing and how to focus on your one thing. And even in the case of people who have multiple businesses or multiple messages or whatever they think they have, or I know speakers are like, oh, I have 16 talks and it depends on who the audience is. And I'm like, I don't believe you. Because at the end of the day, if you look at the arc of your life, the whole story of your life, you'll start to notice patterns. And
Yes.
even if you have multiple businesses, there's something that drives. There's a reason that you picked those businesses.
I can confess to that because multiple businesses I do have, but if I'm talking about adversities, but I also run nonprofit. So there is this interwovenness that comes up again and again. And
Yes.
that's exactly what you're saying right now.
And so as a speaker, what I'm interested in when I work with speakers is let's figure out what your one thing is. It's your speaking brand, and that's the lens through which everything you talk about goes through that lens. Now, depending on your audience, you might have to slightly adjust. The lens stays the same because you at your core believe in one or two things at your core as a human being, right? We all have, like for me, it's about experiences matter. Right? And if it's not an experience, it doesn't matter as much. So you have to create an experience somehow. And so everything that I talk about is filtered through the lens of the experience creation, right? So even though like theater and music and yoga and teaching, but what do they all have in common? In all of those areas, I created experiences for people. And the more audacious the experience, the deeper the transformation that people would enjoy. As a teacher, my first year of teaching, I took 16 high school students to Cuba.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The next years we went to Disney World every year and we did exchanges in Canada and we did all sorts of, because the experience matters to these kids, and to everyone, to adults too, right? So when you figure out what that one thing is, so instead of thinking, oh, I'm going to talk to this about this group of entrepreneurs, I'm going to talk to this about this, to this group of ladies or whatever it is, right? Like, what do you really believe? When you start to talk about that and you filter everything through the lens of that one thing that you truly believe, then you start to create big impact and people start to get out of their seats and take action on what you have to say. And you build a tribe of ambassadors who want to follow you no matter what your business is.
Yeah. I just say we have a live viewer. If anybody has a question, please do make use of this time with David. He's absolutely amazing. This for sure will be my coach without any doubt. So please ask your questions if you can. Give us some thumbs up and try as much as possible to share this video with your families and friends because someone needs to hear this message today, tomorrow, or whatever. Now, David, please give us 3 good things to remember, especially Lillian, who has just made the commitment now online to become unforgettable, to remember as we prepare ourselves to become speakers when we have this fear. What are some 3 simple tips we could just use to bring ourselves back to control?
So 1, stay true to yourself.
Okay.
Stay committed. And for a lot of us, the problem is we don't even know what that is. What does being true to myself mean? Because we're out of congruity in so many areas of our life. What do you want to say to the world? What do you want to do? What do you want? And when you figure that out, stay committed and true to it. And you start to speak about it and you share about what you love, all of a sudden people start to react differently. So stay true to yourself is number one. Number two, as you stay true to your message and what you believe, number two is be unapologetic about it.
Yeah.
Right? That creates a big...
That's a big one.
I know. So you said this earlier, and I'm glad it's coming back around. When you're unapologetic, you give people a reason to reject you,
yes,
so that they might possibly accept you.
Oh, Jesus.
And you have to have light to have dark. You have to have dark to have light, right? So we need to have rejection to have acceptance. And if you don't give people any reason to reject your ideas or what you're saying, how could they possibly know that they're going to want to accept you at all? So be unapologetic about what you believe. That's not to say be like hard-headed or stubborn, because we're learning and we're always in evolution and transformation. But when you're unapologetic about a message, it absolutely lands on people. So that's number two. Try it out. Be unapologetic and see what happens. And number three is to break through your own fear of rejection and not being good enough or whatever that is to make the declaration like you did today, to make that declaration that I will not let fear stop me. Fear is a tool. Fear is my emotional compass. Fear is my sweaty palms. Fear is my heart. Fear is just simply a human reaction. We happen to make the definition. Like, I would love you and all the viewers to redefine fear as opportunity instead. So in your dictionary, in your mind, fear, opportunity.
Yes.
The opportunity to try something you don't know. The opportunity to break through into something beautiful and new. Let fear guide you into something beautiful.
Thank you so much. I am not afraid. I will be on a stage because of this conversation today.
Yes, you will. I know you will.
I will be on the stage because of this conversation today. I'm truly grateful for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, great things will happen because of this conversation. How can we find you?
So if you want to learn more about what I do, www.unforgettabletalks.com. And there I share one of my greatest people. So speakers want to get themselves booked.
Yes.
And because it's the hottest topic out there, I've created this free resource. It's called 3 Simple Strategies to Book 3 Speaking Gigs in the Next 30 Days. And basically it helps people to take action. And when you start to take action, if you take action, it includes a time to chat with me one-on-one. And so I invite all the viewers who get to hear this podcast, definitely start to take action on the 3 things that I help you do to get yourself more bookings as a speaker. And if you follow them, I guarantee you within 30 days, you'll have 3 or more speaking engagements booked.
Wow.
And then let's talk and figure it out. And then maybe it's the right fit for us to work together, for me to help you figure out what your speaking vision is and to bring that speaking brand to life in a way that does leave you and your business and your message truly unforgettable.
Great. I love that. I will do that. And does it really matter? Because this is really like an American thing. It's not really in Europe, and it's even less in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And part of, I think the biggest chunk of the work that I have to do will be more for Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I have in Europe, but I think I have more to say, and that will be understood quicker and have more impact in Africa. And sometimes you need to get out to be unforgettable within. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So maybe that would be a smart move for me. So having speaking gigs in 30 days in this context, is it feasible?
Absolutely. Because remember, who defines what a speaking gig is? You do, in your mind.
Yes.
So this is what I tell people. For you, for example, let's just keep this as the example.
Yes.
Whether you speak to, I'm just making this up, right? A group of ladies in a community center in Africa, or you speak on a stage somewhere in Europe to 1,000 people, is the impact any less for you?
No.
Or exactly. So let's keep our eye on what we want. And the fact of the matter is that what you believe and your message needs to get out there. So speak. It doesn't matter how small or how big the audience is, you will build it when you are speaking and you're unapologetic about it and you're speaking from your heart and from your passion and your mission and your vision.
Okay, good. I will. Promise. I will. Thank you so much. So we've come to the end of this podcast. What one thing are you going to take away from this podcast today?
You know, I have to acknowledge you, Lillian, for randomly reaching out to me on my public profile Facebook page. And I thought, who is it? Because you know how Facebook is these days. People reach out and you're like, who are these people? You know, is this a real person or what do they want from me? Or, you know, and I always, when someone reaches out to me, I always stay open and, you know, explore the relationship. And you've just been such a bright light. And I see that you have a message inside of you and you're so committed despite the technical glitches, and you're just like, we're going to make this happen. We're going to make it happen. And I really want to acknowledge you for that. And I hope that there are more people out there who also get inspired just like you to say, you know what, it's time. I need to share my message far and wide with small audiences, with big audiences. It's time, because there's no other time. Now is the time to do it, right? So I just want to acknowledge you for that. Thank you for committing to yourself in this conversation.
It's time for me.
And thank you for hunting me down and making this happen. I'm so blessed to have people like you in my life that want to help me spread my message, because I know it's my mission and passion to help more people to speak up and to share their heart with the world.
You are a true light, and I think many people should get to know you. I will spread this message as wide as possible. And you are coming to Africa to create more speakers, because I know there is a huge market, there is a huge message out there, and people are not, you know, that one of my businesses, as I was saying, I have a couple of them, is to create wealth for Africans. The truth is, everybody sees the opportunity in Africa except the Africans themselves.
Yeah,
I will get them out there. So you are coming when the time is right. Thank you for and you've been so spontaneous with me. Thank you so much. And let's keep in touch. Let's keep the communication going and let the universe do its thing.
Absolutely. Thank you. Once again, I acknowledge you. Thank you for your heart, for your message, and you bet your bottom dollar we will be in Africa together one of these days.
I promise. We'll see.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, David.
Thank you.
I said Davide, you know?
That's it. You got it.
Parents will call you.
That's right.
Have a great day, and I'll keep in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Thanks, Lillian.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.